kind of like, I just want to see how it flows, but, being open to the possibility of all things, working in all things in society together, especially other people work being, is what they're doing anyhow. Whether we're doing drugs or devices or whatever, it's the same thing. So I'm kind of looking forward to the trial that we're going to return to what we've already known inside that we yeah. And I think with the exposed of the we totally understand that that's all it is. And hello. But it is a mindful. I mean, that's why there's so much all tied together. Well, have faith that on one hand, there is no other hand.
Why wasn't I invited? I could be.
Well, you know that right for everybody.
I mean, it was like, my boys went up there. I watched my boys, and then my cousin, her father, and she was in a hospital in LA. No MPS. Oh, and then the other news is I'm not talking to her for 25 years. I don't know what'll happen. It's okay to be married. Jumped right on that word.
I tried to. So all the oh, I want to watch it. I have 3 hours.
Yeah, but what if I can get up?
I'm excited. I like that.
So I'm watching
Yeah, because I just
Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. You are in for a treat. We have Alex Catlett on the bass. We're saying a wonderful goodbye, but have a wonderful new journey to Devon. Today he leaves tomorrow for New Orleans. And as you see, Paula is still not here, but she'll be back. But we're all going to sing about how we're all welcome here. So let's do it. Here we go. I'm in the right place at the right time. That's a lot of information. I'm just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Today, Reverend James talks about human evolution. Need you. You are in for a treat. I'm in the right place at the right time, I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time, I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome, oh my soul is welcome, oh my soul is welcome here. Oh, your soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome right here.
Well, good morning, Reverend Deborah. Good to see you again this morning.
Good morning, Reverend James. It's good to see you. And we greet you in the name of all that is good, all that is holy, and all that is sacred, and in the warm and loving energy of this community, Spiritual Life Center. Spiritual Life Center honors all people worshiping in temples, mosques, churches, and of course, the beautiful temples of nature, because we know there is no space that God does not grace. And if you're with us for the very first time today, online or here with us in the sanctuary, we especially want to welcome you because we know that you are not here by accident. Every single one of us is here by
Divine appointment.
And of course, we're always so excited to be together, and then the excitement just continues when you silence your electronic devices. And also, please refrain from flash photography during the service.
Well, we've created an opening, a clearing to connect to this presence that is beyond words, but so real to us. We come under its government and its guidance. We allow it to have its way with us because we know it contains everything we could ever hope for, want, or desire. It is beyond labels, but it brings us to peace that passes all understanding, the wisdom, the joy, the health, the vitality, the vigor. Indeed, it is the very love itself. It is our everything. And not only do we come from it, but we have all of its qualities within us. So as we make this presence the activity of our consciousness, our awareness, through the thoughts we have, the words we speak, the actions that we take, we begin to anchor a little bit more of expanding good in our life and in our world. So we're grateful to be vessels and vehicles of this presence. And as we radiate these qualities into our world, we can say without a doubt that when you see me, you also see the presence from which I have come and that has sent me. So we go forth with this appearance, this wealth, this truth, and we say, thank you, divine presence, as we do our part to upgrade and upload the goodness that is in our life and in our world. Amen. Well, we have a very important purpose here at Spiritual Life Center as reflected in our mission statement, and invite us to affirm it together. To transform lives as we love, serve, and remember. And we do so as we incorporate and live out these 5 basic principles that we believe in to the very best of our ability. And again, let us affirm them together. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God. And we must take action.
And speaking of action, we've got Faith in Action starting in just 2 weeks. So you can sign up for your group now as a participant between now. Next Sunday is the last day that you can sign up. So we're encouraging you to get in there and find your group. And you know, the book is really great, but honestly, the real value of this thing is for us to come together in small groups, listening to James's messages about what they're reading, reading that study guide that I took 17 years to write. I mean, there's just so... There's just so many ways that we connect through Faith in Action. It's not just about the book. And so really hoping that we just have the best faith in action. I'm affirming that we have the best faith in action ever. So sign up today.
Yes, it will be done. It is already done.
Oh, and the study guide is available online. And for those of you who can't print at home, we do have copies at the hub.
And also want to bring to your attention, we have a special Wow Wednesday that's taking place this week. Notes from My Heart is an evening of story and song with John Merriman and Reverend Deborah Phillips. And you can join them as they weave their way through the journey of experiencing and dealing with the ways of the heart, of walking that often confusing path that always eventually leads to that truth with a capital T. So John and Deborah offer that evening a personal discussion. There'll be music and surely some unanswered questions. Okay, concerning this wonderful thing of being alive, which is always a wonderful thing.
And those answers are those questions are so unanswered, we don't even know what they'll be yet.
Okay.
And there's salad at 6, by the way. And next Sunday, September 25th, we invite you to a meeting that will explain what a charitable gift of real estate is, how it works, and how it could help fund SLC's mission to transform lives. The meeting is at 1 o'clock after the service. It's in person and on Zoom. And if you want to attend via Zoom, please go to the website and register.
And speaking of registration for our gala is now available online and in the courtyard. So you have choices of where you can register, but whatever you do, register. We gather in a community to celebrate and support this amazing spiritual cooperative and community by acknowledging and just having some fun together. The evening will include brief highlights from the Light the World Women's Honor event that took place a couple of months ago as we salute our youth. And also, we're going to have lasting connections with one another that have been made over the years. So there'll be games and live music with one another, and also our one and only Soul Light connection will be there as well. So it's going to be a wonderful musical evening as well. So your tickets will include a mix and mingle social hour with appetizers, drinks, dessert, as well as first come, first serve seating. So if you want to get a good seat, come early. We are accepting auction and raffle donations, and you can contact Pat Harvey, who's in the courtyard today, or contact Elaine or Pat during the week. And in the first weekend in October, we always have a blessing of the animals. And this year, again, Donna Apodoni is going to do it via Zoom. But let's hear what she has to say about it.
Hi, Hi, I'm Reverend Donna Epidoni. Do you know what time it is? It's time for the annual Blessing of the Animals, and I'll perform a celebration that combines ancient traditions on Saturday, October 1st at 1 p.m. It won't be at Spiritual Life Center, it'll be online, because so many animals at one point or another in their lives don't want to travel. You know what else animals don't want to do? They don't want to sit still for very long. So it'll be a quick service. Don't be late. It'll start at 1 p.m. on October 1st. It'll be interfaith because animals tend not to follow a particular religion. It'll be all those things. Interfaith, on time, short, and on Zoom. We'll do a group prayer, and then I'll do individual blessings of the animals who come to visit on Zoom that day. October 1st, 1 p.m., on Zoom, the blessing of the animals. See you there.
And as we see Donna and the animals there, we may even see some animal tricks. But speaking of tricks, remind yourself of the Trick or Treat Cabaret that's going to take place on Friday, October the 28th. And this will be entertainment abound. So we're calling all folks with talents and music or shower singers. So if you sing in the shower, you can be there. Humorous skits, poetry readings, lip syncs, dancers, group sing-alongs, and more. Whatever you do, there is a spot for you. So don't fall back at all. Just be here. And if you want to be on stage or Trick or Treat Cabaret, the Trick or Treat Cabaret, just contact Paula. You can contact her at the email when she arrives back sometime this week. I'm not sure when she's going to be back, but she'll be back in time for the event.
Absolutely. So, and remember, we have many, many things going on at SLC, and including our small groups that meet during the week. So be sure to go to the website and check it out. Or if you're here in person, you can go outside, look at the bulletin board, chat with the lovely ladies at the hub, and find out anything that you might want to know about Spiritual Life Center.
And while at this time I invite any of our board members that are present, as well as our chaplains that are here today, to please stand. And the chaplains are doing the very important work of just holding the prayer consciousness, the high watch for our community. But importantly, each week they're available to pray with you. If you have a challenge that you're going through, or you just want to celebrate something, they'll bring that chaplain prayer energy to that whole situation and just amplify that field. So we thank them, and they'll be available in the courtyard. So we appreciate their contribution to our community. Thank you, chaplains. And our board members that are present today that are standing, they do a lot of work behind the scenes. You know, they bring their time, their talent, and their skill set. And oftentimes we don't see it, but believe me, they're putting a great deal of time and energy into helping us become the very best community that we can. And if you have any questions that you'd like to ask of any of our board members, they're available to answer those questions for you. So we thank them for their service and their contribution to Spiritual Life Center.
And we love to greet our newcomers, so in a moment we will ask you to raise your hand. But first we want you to know there are so many ways to become connected at the Spiritual Life Center, and one of the ways to do that is to fill out the welcome card. That welcome card is available online, and you can go to our website, fill out the card, and submit it, and then we will get back to you. If you're here on site, raise your hand and keep it up until we find you. Fill out the card, take it to the courtyard, to the welcome table, and there's a very special gift and a warm welcome.
So if anyone's here for the very first time, we just invite you to raise your hand and hold it up nice and high. Yes, thank you so much for your presence here today. And we have some of our folks, our ambassadors, that are handing out the card that you can fill out if you choose to do so, to stay in contact with us and to be aware of what's going on in our community. And we invite you to wear the purple ribbon so you can get that special Spiritual Life Center greeting from one of our members or friends of Spiritual Life Center. And let's know that we support you and behold the magnificence that you are. And we see you doing magnificent things in your life and in our world. And we appreciate your presence and the divine love that you are today. And with that, I invite folks not only to greet folks who may be new today, but with each other, and just say, you are marvelous, glad you are here, and do so in a manner that feels comfortable for you.
And we invite you to stay standing and join us in singing our group song. How can I serve today? How can I serve today? Every day we have the opportunity to ask this question: how can I serve? How can I love? What can I do? How can I share? So please join us in singing. Here we go. How can I serve today, sweet Spirit? How can I serve today, oh Lord? Speak in ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. How can I serve? How can I serve today, sweet Spirit? How can I serve today, oh Lord? Speak in ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. Who needs my love? Who needs my love? Who needs my love? Sweet Spirit, who needs my love today? Oh Lord, speak in ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will. How must I share? How must I share? Speak in ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. How can I serve? How can I serve today? Let me hear you. Sweet Spirit. How can I serve? How can I serve today? Oh Lord. Oh, speak in ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. Where you lead me, where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. Where you lead me, where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. Please be seated.
And now, as we begin to shift our energy to the more introspective and prepare for meditation, let us embody the words of our vision statement together. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions. Weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom, we cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
And now, in preparation for meditation, I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Settle into your chair. And know that we can change the world, one heart at a time. Please join us in singing. We can change the world, one heart at a time. We can change the world, one heart at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me. a time, we can change the world, one heart at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me, and my heart is open to love. My heart is ready to love you. You can change. You can change the world, one heart at a time. You can change the world, one heart at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me. I can change. I can change the world. I can change the world. One heart at a time. One heart at a time. I can change the world. I can change the world. One heart at a time. One heart at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me, and my heart is open to love. My heart is ready to love you. We can change the world. We can change the world. One heart at a time. We can change the world. Heart at a time. We can change the world. One heart at a time. We can change the world. One heart. One heart at a time. One mind. We can change the world. We are one. One heart at a time.
As we move into this time of quiet, take a breath, relax into your chair, and in the next few breaths, drop your shoulders, relax your hands, relax your eyelids, and allow your consciousness to drift into a light daydream. You're standing on a busy street corner. Cars whiz by. People walk past you, jostling your elbow or running into packages you might be holding. You really need a moment to quiet and regain your composure. Maybe have a short talk with God about a few things. Across the street, you see a park, and so you weave through the cars that are stalled in the traffic jam and make your way toward a tall stand of green trees. Step onto the dirt path leading into the park. The noise recedes, and you start to relax a little. Then the trees begin to resolve into an emerald green mist, dancing in the middle of your path. As you near the dancing mist, it begins to separate right in the middle, as if inviting you to enter. Step into the mist. Emerald-colored air gently swirls around you, clearing your mind and emotions, filling your heart center. And take a deep cleansing breath and release it. The mist slowly melts away, and you see that you're in a beautiful park. The sky is deep blue. The temperature is perfect. It's quieter here, but there's still a lot of activity. Birds sing and flutter. Flowers and trees sway in the breeze. Squirrels argue, chatter at blue jays. Crows complain about, well, everything. You have a deep desire for even more quiet so that you can connect with God. And you notice a lilac bush that is in full bloom. Maybe there's a bench there where you can meditate. And as you approach the lilac bush, it begins to resolve into a beautiful violet mist. It dances in front of you, and you feel it sending out gentle tendrils of violet energy as you approach, as if it's inviting you to come and immerse yourself in its beautiful self. And you stroll right into that mist and enter into deep, deep quiet. The violet light dances and swirls around you, removing any lingering anxiety or concern. You feel calm. You are clear. You are centered. The violet begins to slow its dance. As it winds down, it softly, gently dissipates, and you stand surrounded in pure white light. There is no motion, no sound. There is only pure consciousness. In this moment, release yourself and open to the pure light pouring into you in the deep, deep silence. You are filled. You are pure light. You are complete. Take a breath and begin to rise out of the silence. And as you become aware of your physical body and those around you, receive this blessing. Oh, my beloved, this place of silence and light is your center, your essence. Your power, your love emanates from here. It never changes. It never stops because you are the vessel through which Spirit lives. Remember this, always.
love is a river overflowing. My soul is a fire with embers glowing. I am the essence of divine expression. I am a vessel of God. I am a vessel of God. My hands reach down to the meek and the helpless. My legs stand up for the ones without voices. I march to the beat of a servant's heart. I am a vessel of God. I am a vessel of God. My words speak of comfort and acceptance. My actions spring from a place of wholeness. My light shines on and on. I am a vessel of God. I am a vessel of God. I am a vessel of God. Fill me with that spirit. Fill me with that goodness. Fill me with that power. Fill me with that love. Fill me with that spirit. Fill me with that goodness. Fill me with that power. Fill me with that love. Fill me with that love. Fill me with that spirit. Fill me with that goodness. Fill me with that power. Fill me with that love. Fill me with that spirit. Fill me with that goodness. Fill me with the power. Fill me with that love. Fill me with that spirit. Fill me with that goodness. Fill me with the power. Fill me with that love. I am a vessel of God. I am a vessel of God.
Ann Roach, Larry, and Soul Light Connection. Thank you so much. I'm a vessel of God. Fill me with the goodness. Fill me with your power. Fill me with your love and all that good stuff. You know, last week I shared about an experiment with two groups of fifth graders. And they called themselves the Rattlers, they called themselves the Eagles, and they went to a camp. And of course, unbeknownst to them, they didn't know one another, but they were being nudged toward conflict. They were being nudged toward divisiveness. And all this conflict and divisiveness was based upon mostly made up stuff. And it created an us versus them mentality, a mindset. And it noted how, in many respects, that experiment somehow parallels a lot of what we see in our world today. Now, I didn't have the time to tell you, as that radio personality Paul Harvey used to say, I know I'm dating myself, but he used to have a program that used to say, well, let me tell you the rest of the story. Well, the researchers wanted to see if they could bring the two groups together. Could they come together in peace, in harmony? As Pharoah Sanders was singing that song, the Creator has a master plan, peace and harmony in all the land. Or at least in that camp, they were trying to bring some peace and harmony before they went home after the camp time was over. So they brought the boys together, and they were engaged in what were supposed to be a number of peaceful activities. They just brought them all together, for example, to meet in the dining area where they had never met before because they ate at different times, thinking that maybe they would resolve their differences. And here was the result. They had food fights. Everybody was still locked in their positions and seeing the other party, the other group of people, as being against them. And since the situation was where these two people came together, these two groups came together, and they wanted to create a new situation where it was non-threatening, and they found out that this wasn't working. So they said, well, let's try something else. They decided that they were going to put them together where they had to perform tasks that were critical for both groups' well-being. Both of their survival or well-being was dependent upon it. And they needed them to work together in order for them to be successful. So they had to use their skills, their efforts, their resources. And if they didn't, they would fail, and everybody would be worse off. So they made up some crises, and, they had a water shortage, and they had to figure out how to deal with it. And, the truck that was going to bring their supplies broke down, so they had to figure out a way to get the food that they normally would get with ease. And these crises could only be resolved if the two groups worked together as one. And here's what happened. The two groups became friendly with each other. In fact, there was one group, as I mentioned last week, that had won some money because they had won a contest. And they used the money that they had won to buy the other team milkshakes. Now, it's not unusual when we're faced with a crisis that people will work together to accomplish what seems to be an impossible task. But I think the question we want to ask ourselves today, can a community or group of people who seemingly are odds with each other, can they do great things without the aid of a crisis? The answer, of course, I believe, is yes. But there has to be a compelling, transcendent vision that pulls people to a desired future. I think in our own life, pain will push us, but vision pulls us to something higher. Particularly when that vision is an inspired idea that comes from the divine. I think all of us have within us a divine plan for us to fulfill. In the Hebrew Bible, Jeremiah, the 29th chapter and 11th verse, it says, "Surely I know the plans I have for you, plans to bring you well-being and not harm, and to give you future with a hope." And in some states it says, to give you an expected end. I think it serves as a reminder that each and every one of us, each of our emerging self, our true self, carries a vision within us. It's a spiritual idea that's unique for us and is part of a bigger plan, part of a bigger purpose. And that emerging self is yearning to express its uniqueness and be carried away by the inspired ideas of this presence, this power that we call God. But the first thing we must do is recognize and capture a spiritual idea and then make the decision to move in the direction of that idea. And I think when we realize the Spirit of the living God has inspired a vision for us, whether it's for our individual lives, whether it's for our collective lives, we must first make the decision to take action. As someone I think said, or I think I heard years ago, that God cannot move a parked car. We got to move. You know, some people will say, I'm confused about my life. I don't know what God wants me to do with my life. Please, that's nothing more than a belief system. That's the real BS, as I like to say. So we sometimes use that as an excuse because we may not want to yield that much power. We do not want to maybe be the great persons that we know the Spirit of the living God wants us to be. So maybe we acted confused, or we failed to follow that vision that's been planted within our soul because we think we're going to lose something that we're used to or hanging on to. And as a result, the dynamic good that's within us is never activated. Oftentimes, it's not activated because we fall for some false fear, some stuff that's not happening in our life, but we fear it anyway. Oftentimes, the world and the community is in fear. As you look at the news or go on the interweb, often everyone is frightened about so many different things. But we should take a clue from Mark Twain, who said something to the effect, I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. Many do not follow that advice and allow themselves to be held back. So they seek to find a safe place not to come out anymore in every area of their life. But the key to moving beyond that state is to make a decision, even if we think the decision is wrong. Because there's really no wrong decision at all. Everything that we do is nothing more than preparation to the next step that we want to take in life. Or just to find out what does not work, knowing that it's bringing us closer to what does work. I think when we make a decision, everything begins to work together for our good. We suddenly get signs, this is the right way to go. Serendipitous things begin to take place because we've decided. I often shared that I wasn't always a minister. I was a wayward, kind of crazy guy, to say among other things. I'm not going to go into the details of this. Don't want to scare you away. But I remember that I was going through my own rehab process, and I was going through a spiritual community, and after going on the pathway to kind of get my life in order, thinking about I was going to get back into doing what I was doing before, I had this thought of becoming a minister. It was just a thought that came, out of somewhere, and I'm pretty sure that message was for somebody else, and somehow I was on, a party line, and I just picked it up from somebody else. Because when I came into my mind, I said, oh, no, not me. I could not see myself doing anything like this. I always tell people if I had 1,000 things on my list of things to do in my life, being a minister was not one of them. I was too cool for that. I couldn't do that. But I remember one day I was with some kids. We went out to a youth fair, and they had rides and roller coasters. And I must have been standing just by myself in a moment of surrender. Kind of an electric current went through my body because I saw myself as a minister. And then at that moment, I surrendered. And then I went through the whole process of becoming a minister. And in the beginning, I didn't know how this was going to work. I was working. I was tied down to certain things in my life. But then I made a decision just to do it. And when I made the decision, everything began to fall into place. The money I needed began to show up. All these things I was entangled in began to get untangled. Seemed like a pathway was made in a way for me to go forward, to make it happen, simply because I made the decision and moved in the direction of the idea that came through me. Howard Thurman, who was the mentor of Martin Luther King Jr., and he said something to the effect that if you have the strength to affirm the high prerogative of your spirit, a host of invisible angels will wing to your defense, because in you, God has come into its own. Now understand, when we go on this path, it's not always smooth sailing. I just know my life has been more like this and zigging and zagging before things kind of get straightened out, and then they zig and zag again. It's just the nature of life. But sometimes we have to have a breakdown before there's a breakthrough. And I think that's true for us on our individual lives and also for our society as a whole. Oftentimes we go through chaotic experiences because there's a breakdown in order for something new to emerge. So this is actually good news. When you have a breakdown, you can say, oh my God, this is good news. Because the life that we sometimes have built, it begins to evaporate. It begins to fall apart. It begins to be torn down. And there's a feeling maybe that we're losing something. And here's the good news. Because in that sense of loss, in that sense of feeling that emptiness, you and I can discover what is called the promised land and understand what that is all about. Understand the promised land is always empty. The promised land is barren. When we read about the promised land in different scriptures, it means that there is nothing there. Because if there was something there, it would be in our way. It would be an obstacle. It would be a hindrance. But when the old of us is dying and it begins to fall apart and we're surrendered to something greater for our life, we begin to see that promised land. And in that promised land, we're pulled by a vision of divine and perfect love that comes from this presence, this power that we call God. In other words, we have a blank slate. We have a plain easel. There's a blank sheet of paper. And many of you who may be artists or poets or writers, you know what I'm talking about. You walk into your studio or your place that you're going to do your creativity, and there's a blank slate there. That's the promised land. And we're pulled by a vision of what's possible. And out of that emptiness, the vision, that divine love begins to show up in our life. And we begin to become those vessels that Ann was singing about of the glory of the living God. So I'm trying to say in so many words that we don't want to hold on to yesterday. We don't want to hold on to our own ego or what tomorrow is going to bring. We don't want to hold on to the fears, the doubts, and the worries. We want to surrender to that power, surrender to that presence, surrender to that love that is divinely within us. And then we're pulled by a vision of that divine love. And in that space, there is no division. There is no duality. There is no us versus them. There's only us, because there's only one thing going on, as I like to say. So we look to avatars or people or leaders like a Mother Teresa, and who saw the face of the Christ presence in everyone that she served. Or we look to Martin Luther King, who was motivated by divine unconditional love and a divine dream that compels us to do the right action. Or we look at a Mahatma Gandhi and we'll be motivated by a divine freedom for ourselves and for all other people. Or we look at a Holiness Dalai Lama and we'll be pulled by a vision of an ethical and just world society manifesting right here and right now. I think there's a moment in which you and I surrender to that idea, where we're compelled by a vision of this divine love, and it pulls us to become more than we ever thought we could possibly be. Now, when we hear those names, we may say, well, those people are special. They were just endowed with something beyond us. But they were just human beings, that's you and me, who just happened to capture an idea and decided to act on that idea, and that host of invisible angels supported them along the way. And as we do that, we start to understand that as we feel that we get in sync with this order we call God, we understand that our life is necessary to the divine plan. You know, like I said, many people walk through life wondering if they're necessary. They walk through life wondering if their life is necessary. Do I have meaning to God? What is life all about? What is my purpose? Am I necessary? Now, that's really a ridiculous thing to ask, but also a necessary thing to ask, because as difficult as it is to answer, it is something we need to bring to our awareness. And as a metaphor, comes to our aid. I think for you and me and all of us, we need to realize we are necessary to God just as the sunbeam is necessary to the sun. In other words, the sun would be inconceivable without the sunbeam. God would be inconceivable without us, because we are the way that this presence gets around in this dimension. We are made in the image and likeness of the presence of God, and we're here to glorify, to manifest, to reveal what God is. God's great universe would be inconceivable without you and me in it. That would be an impossibility. It kind of reminds me of a man who was a gardener and a landscaper, and he had come across some property. And this particular property was totally disheveled. They had weeds everywhere, fallen trees, and, it was just looking like a chaotic mess. And he decided that he was going to tend it, and he spent, months, working on it. And after a while, it was so pristine and organized, it looked like he had used nail clippers to get everything in order. It was looking at like something right out of House and Garden magazine. And a guy came by and said, "Oh my God, is not God great?" He was looking at the garden and he was saying to the guy, "Man, isn't God great?" And he said, "Yes, God is great. But you should have seen this garden before when God had it all by himself." Understand, the garden would not have fulfilled its potential without that gardener, without that landscaper. And without that sunbeam, we don't see the sun. And without being the co-creative agents of the Spirit of the living God, we don't see the full power and the presence and the nature of God that I like to call the force. Without our participation, we will not see how humanity can live as one and demonstrate the quality of that oneness. But when we do, we break down the artificial barriers that we have. Those artificial barriers that we created between people, between groups, between nations. And we begin to download the beloved community that Dr. Martin Luther King talked about. And we begin to see the truth of who we really are and everyone else is. Even if they don't see it, we see it ourselves. We see it in them. And when we begin to do that, we stop seeing differences. We say, "Look at that wonderful light shining through that individual. They can't see it, but I can see it in them." Understand, love and peace and joy and wisdom and harmony and supply and intelligence are the truth of our being, but within all people. And we're not here to necessarily get those things from life. We're here to reveal them. We're here to reveal those qualities that are within our soul. I was with some friends who was a minister who was a colleague of ours. We look up him to a lot, and he once commented that we're living in a moment of history where the consciousness of humanity has never been higher than it is right now and right here. Some people questioned that and said, "Have you not read the news today?" But they said, "Well, tell me more." And he said, "Well, if you look at all that's going on, if you read about the wars and rumors of war, as you read about homelessness rising, as you read about divisiveness that seems to be more prevalent today than ever, all those things that are occurring in the world house in which we live, we see all of that happening. Yet he said at the same time, never have there been more individuals and people praying and meditating percentage-wise than any time in history." And so what we're going through right now is what he called a flux time. It's a moment where the great change can happen rapidly. A moment in which a divine spiritual idea can take form as the consciousness of those individuals in the forefront of humanity begin to evolve and begin to take a prominent role. In other words, he was saying we are history makers. And if we come to understand this, we can understand that what the great Picasso said when at the turn of his century, someone asked him this question: "How do you foresee the changes in the future? How do you see history happening? How do you see it unfolding in the next century?" And he said simply, "I do not foresee history. I make it." And this is what we are here to be about. This presence we call God needs you. I always say that Uncle Sam don't need you. God needs you. That means we're not here to casually observe the unfoldment of history. We're here to be conscious participants in its revelation. And so the question we want to ask is, along the lines, if in fact the evolution of the world is dependent upon my consciousness, on my evolution, what would I be doing in this instant? In many respects, I think we're growing, developing, unfolding as a species, even though it doesn't look like it at times. There are some who are still caught up, of course, in the selfishness, me, I consciousness. And they live in the world of limitation and a belief in separation and division. And there are those who are breaking through and living in what is called the whole universal care consciousness. In other words, we're all part of one entity, one reality. And they're aware of their oneness. They're aware of the presence of God, and they have hearts as big as the world. And there's a consciousness of compassion and a consciousness of generosity and forgiveness. There's a consciousness of love and giving and creativity and beauty. And it's becoming more real than anything. But of course, it does not happen on the wheels of inevitability. It takes us capturing that spiritual idea, capturing that vision, getting intentional about it. So we are to ask on a daily basis, if the evolution of the species is dependent upon me, what would I be doing in this moment? Perhaps we meditate an extra time. Perhaps we have a little bit more focus on the task that we're working on, a little bit more concentration. We have a little bit more generosity of our heart, a little bit more of giving. If in fact the entire species depends upon your evolution, which it does, and anytime you have a breakthrough, we change the whole contour of the destiny of humankind. And anytime we break free from the limiting thoughts of limitation, the limiting thoughts of lack and not enoughness, anytime we break away from the we versus them way of thinking, in that moment, we have pierced this illusion. We have knocked down this veil of illusion, and we begin to uplift the entire consciousness. As the song goes, God needs us to shine its light. Our human evolution needs all of us to do our part, to be the creators, to be the inventors, to be the artists, the scientists, those individuals who are on the verge of being the cutting edge of a new society. We're always seeking to hang out there, thinking those new ideas, because that's how society evolves, through the cutting edge ideas, through synergistic conversations. I'm just saying today that we are in league with that number. We are to be pulled by a vision. And then we take that spiritual action, that inspired action, and as we do, we uplift our entire world. Human evolution needs you. It needs you now. Peace and blessings to you. Well, next week, Reverend Deborah is going to be speaking on the transforming power of spirit as we continue on this theme of, I keep forgetting, universal oneness? Anyway, the sense of oneness. Tuning into the universe. I knew it was something along those lines. And so I think next week is purple is our color. If you'd like to be in a line. Was that? And blue. Purple and blue. Okay. Well, for those who happen to be online today, if you want to support Spiritual Life Center with your gift or your love offering, you can do so by texting SLC Love to 44321. That's SLC Love to 44321. Or you can go to our website, slcworld.org, click the Donate tab, and give in other ways, including by mail. And also, if you want to spread the word of what we're about, of creating a world that works for all, you can just spread this message depending upon what platform you're on. You can like us, comment, share, or subscribe, and know that we're all in this together to create that world that works for everyone. And for those who are present, I invite you to take your gift or your love offering and symbolically raise it to heaven, which is always the expansion of good. And if you've given in other ways, including electronically or by mail, know that you're in the flow of a principle that says you can never outgive the presence of God, and whatever you give out, does come back to you in ways you never imagined. So with that, let us affirm our offertory blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
No keyboards. We need keys. We're good. Still don't have keys. I wanna live in the world, not inside my head. I wanna live in the world. I wanna stand and be counted with the hopeful and the willing, the open and the strong, with the voices in the darkness fashioning daylight out of song, and the millions of lovers alive in the world. I wanna live in the world, not behind some wall. I wanna live in the world where I will hear another voice call to the prisoner inside me, to the captive of my doubt, whom among her fantasies harbors the dream of breaking out and taking my chances alive in the world. To open my eyes and fully arrive in the world. To open my eyes and fully arrive in the world. With its beauty and its cruelty, with its heartbreak and its joy, with it constantly giving birth to life and to forces that destroy, and the infinite power of change alive in the world. To open my eyes and wake up alive in the world. To open my eyes and fully arrive in the world. To open my eyes, wake up alive in the world. To open my eyes and finally arrive in the world.
Alive in the world. Indeed, we all are alive in this world. So we just need to wake up. So let's take this time to bless those who have given to this community today, to create a place for those who are seeking to grow and develop and unfold spiritually, whether here in person or online, knowing that we're doing a mighty work to help transform lives and make a difference, not only in individual lives, but in the very world in which we live. We also give thanks and appreciation and affirm those who have left prayers in the prayer box, recognizing all of us have challenges along the way in life. Sometimes there are bumps along the road. But as that scriptural reference reminds us that before you ask the question, Spirit already has the answer. So the answer to the prayer is already done on the spiritual plane. And our task is simply to raise our awareness to be one with what is already done, with that vibration. And as we do that, then we recognize that the answer is there and will provide an opportunity for us to grow, unfold ourselves. And it may come from ways and means that we never thought of and be ways that we never imagined. But we know it's going to be for our greater good. And of course, these prayers will go on to Unity Village for an additional 30 days of prayer at Silent Unity, where they've been doing the constant prayer for over 100 years nonstop. They're in that vibration now, and we are one with that vibration. So it is done. We are grateful, and we let God be God in us. Amen. So with that, let us join together as we affirm our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well. Let's join together as we sing our peace song.